What's up, everybody? It's Dom 369 for Occultism Unleashed. Better late than ever, but we're gonna kick it with you about this full moon in Cancer. You know, we've been speaking at length. Let me put this thing on mute. We've been speaking at length about the full moon in about the solstice, the mythology from Egypt that has led to the creation of the holiday that we call Christmas. After the sun enters the Capricorn and we had a solstice, the first celestial event after that is the full moon in Cancer. Now, the full moon in Cancer is the moon that's in the sign that is governed by the goddess Isis, aka Auset. Isis is the Greek pronunciation. For those of you who don't know, the true pronunciation is Auset. Now, when we go back to the last video, we were talking about the resurrection of the sun, the expansion of consciousness and things like that with the Osirian energy. When you see, Osiris, you see him two different ways. And these are magical symbols. You need to understand symbols are living things. So when you transform your body into symbols, you can, invoke certain divine qualities. So there's a very familiar symbol that everybody knows, the symbol of Jesus on the cross. Arms extended out. Even though the Romans never crucified nobody on the cross, they crucified people like this and broke their knees so their lungs would collapse on themselves and suffocate. But arms extended like this is the sign of Osiris slain. This is the sign of Osiris risen. When Osiris rises, the strength of the sun, it has a lot to do. You got different chakras in your body, and you got when your hands are pinned, you're unable to move them. When you see Osiris risen, he's like this. Y'all seen this sign in Wakanda, and he has the crook and the fail. He has now regained his conscious awareness of his divinity, and he has the capacity to guide with the crook, the shepherd's crook, where you might have to catch a sheep by the neck and bring them back where they're supposed to be. And you got the fail, which is for putting lashes on them, somebody. You dig what I'm saying? In your divine nature, you had the ability to guide or discipline. Now, when the moon moves in the Cancer, the full moon in Cancer, that means, the sun and the moon are lined up at Capricorn sun, moon in Cancer, and the moon in Cancer is the sign of motherhood. Cancer is the sign of motherhood. The fourth house, rules the home, the kitchen, the nurturing capacity. But it doesn't rule the mother. The 10th house rules the mother, because the mother is the one who nurtures the child and prepares them to be able to be a good leader. The father teaches you discipline and things like that. But the mother is the one who balances that out and gives you the ability to nurture with that divine feminine energy, whether you're a man or a woman. So the full moon in Cancer, when you step into the mythology from ancient Kemet, when you're talking about Auset and things like that, you're looking at after she became pregnant, because the full moon means a full belly. The gestation has ended and it's ready to deliver to the world. After she recovered the body of Osiris while floating back to the Nile River in a boat, she did her spells on him and she got pregnant. Cancer is the sign of conception as well. So once she achieved motherhood, she gives birth to a child. And when the vernal equinox, the spring hits, and the sun's at 0 degrees Aries, that's when her sun has became mature and can fight against the forces of darkness. So with the full moon in Cancer, you are showing your capacity to give life. Give life, not just to a human, another human being, but to your inner nature that allows you to have the power, once that child is nurtured, to combat the forces of darkness, whether they're within yourself or outside of you. It gives you the capacity to nurture. So the place where the full moon in Cancer falls in your chart, and then, you know, this book right here called the Ephemeris, this will tell you all the planetary positions. Every single one of them. I dropped a link in the description for y'all. So the full moon in Cancer is at 4 degrees, 58 minutes Cancer. And that'll occur at 12:33 Greenwich Mean Time. If you on the East Coast, you got to add 5 hours to that. So that'll be 5:33 a.m. on the Eastern Standard Time. Central Standard Time, 4:33 a.m. Mountain Time, 3:33 a.m. Pacific Time, 2:33 a.m. Everybody got that? So this is a time where you want to tap into that divine feminine energy and cultivate your nurturing capacity and compassion. The moon rules our emotions, and like the moon is ever changes, our emotions are always changing. If this is something that always has to change, like the cycle of the moon, is something that you should be interested in learning how to control, that you should be more aware of, because the moon is the fastest moving planet in your chart. It goes through every house in your chart once a month. It aspects every planet in your chart once a month. Now, if you got 4 degrees Cancer in your first house, this means you got Cancer rising. It's going to be in your first house. It's definitely time for you to be more aware of your compassion, your nurturing capacity, and take action to cultivate that. One of the ways you can do that is through cooking. This is a way you nurture people, feed them. You know, the second house is going to be dealing with your personal values. How do you feel about being a caretaker to other people? This is something you need to evaluate, because if you do, Cancer in the second house, if you do, it's going to pay off for you financially in the real world. You know, if it's in the third house, you're dealing with your siblings, your community, nurturing your understanding, any miseducation that you received in your childhood. This is a time for you to evaluate that and throw away what is bull crap and doesn't work. In the fourth house, it's time to make your home a comfortable space where you feel good and safe, because that's one of the things our mothers do for us. They don't just nurture us, they make us feel safe. They make us feel protected. And your home should reflect the womb of your mother, the bosom of your mother, not your earth mother, but the nurturing factor that keeps you sheltered, it keeps you protected, it keeps you nourished. You picking up what I'm putting down? Anytime the moon is moving through your fourth house, these are things that you should be focused on. If you got Cancer on your fifth house cusp, it's time for you to get more into your projects. Everybody tell you the fifth house rules your children. Any type of project that you invent, give birth to, this is a child. You've given life to something. You brought it out of a spiritual realm, which is your mind and your imagination, into the physical realm. Does that make sense to you guys? Let me know if you're following me, and let me know if I'm going too fast. If it's in your sixth house, you want to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Want to make sure you're taking care of yourself, your health, the part of the body ruled by Cancer is the breast. You find the cusp of your chart. If you haven't got your chart yet, you can go to alabe.com. Let me drop it in the comments. Let me drop it in the comments. alabe.com for your chart. And then you put in your birth information, time, date, and place you were born. It's going to pull up your birth chart, and you'll be able to see it's divided into 12 sections. It's divided in 12 sections, and each of those sections got a sign on it or in it. Not a planet, a sign. One of the 12 zodiac signs. You find Cancer on the cusp. You know? So that's how you find it. So shoot over there after we finished and get your chart pulled up. If y'all plan on being here live on the regular, make sure you got your chart, because ain't no telling when I'm going to do some readings for y'all. So make sure you got your chart. You on your sixth house, you need to pay attention to your health. Again, the sign of Cancer rules the chest, and it rules the digestion, because we consume food. It's really important that when the moon rules through Cancer, you're not eating emotionally. You're not eating emotionally. You're not allowing your feelings, because you're really susceptible to emotionally born illnesses. Cancer on the sixth house. That means you get overwhelmed by your emotions, and it starts causing physical sickness in your body. So you have to use that Cancer energy to protect yourself. When you look at the symbols for the sign of Cancer, it's the claw. It's crab claws. Where is it at on this? I got it somewhere on this thing right here. This is a sign of Cancer. That's not a 69. That's not a 69. That's two crab claws protecting it. That's what a mother does. It protects. You got Cancer on your seventh house. You're looking at your partnerships, your trusted advisors. The seventh house is also the house of love and war. So, with Cancer on that house, you get emotional, very, very emotionally attached to the people that you trust and have those type of solid partnerships with. And it's important that you protect yourself from people who don't have your best interests at heart. In the full moon of Cancer, the full moon sheds light on things that been concealed. And when it sheds light on things being concealed, some ugly things might come out, and some good things might come out, because the capacity to nurture isn't always shown. Sometimes you got to earn that from people so they can start to trust. And Cancer on the seventh house, you protect yourself from a lot of emotional stuff, and you need to experience those things. And I got Cancer on the seventh house, and the trauma that I experienced in my life, you're not going to see me doing a lot of crying and complaining about what's going on. I protect myself where I need to be protected, and I don't mind pinching you. That's just what that is. The 8th house is dealing with the resources of other people. This is when you need to tap in to people who can provide you emotional support, who can nurture you and give you the things you need to make you whole. The 8th house is a house of taxes, loans, mortgages, death, and transformation. So if you got Cancer on your 8th house cusp and you are neglecting to acknowledge your emotions, you're hindering your transformation. You're hindering your personal transformation, and you need to really tap in to what you're feeling so you can reap the benefits of it. Because the 8th house is also the house of secrets. And it's the house that governs our mediumship ability, because the 8th house is the house of the dead. So, Cancer on the 8th house, you usually have vivid dreams about your ancestors and people you know in life, and even celebrities and stuff that are dead. And it's important that you acknowledge what you feel when you get these dreams and the feelings that they give you, because it could help you tap into other people's resources. It can help you tap into other people's resources, but you have to be willing to accept that emotional connection and not always be in a place where you're trying to protect yourself like people want to harm you. The 9th house. The 9th house, it governs international affairs. It governs higher education. But then more importantly, the 9th house is the house of belief and faith. It's the house where they say the 11th house is the house of hopes and wishes, but the 9th house is the house that gets your wishes granted. That house tells you where your magic lies at, because magic doesn't manifest nothing if you ain't got faith and belief. You understand what I'm saying? If you got Cancer on your 9th house, now is the time to nurture your faith and belief in yourself. Know that you can give birth to a miracle. Know that you can, manifest things in the international community. 9th house Cancer, full moon moving in your 9th house, you might highlight some information about, your belief system that you hold dear emotionally. Is going to shed light on those false beliefs, and or give you confirmation that you're on the right track spiritually. But you have to be the one who's willing to take advantage of the celestial energy. You have to be willing to take advantage of the celestial energy, because regardless of the planetary placements, if you're not taking action to utilize the software update that the universe is giving you, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but if you're not utilizing the software update the universe is giving you, don't expect the big payouts that you're capable of receiving. On the 10th house, this has to do with your career, your place in the world. You are a nurturer. You are a person who is meant to provide comfort to other people. A lot of great chefs have Cancer on the 6th, on the 12th, on the 10th house, or the moon in the 10th house. This makes you a great chef. It gives you the capacity to cook in a way that makes people feel it in their soul. It also makes you very emotionally supportive of your coworkers. But it also can make you very defensive in the workplace. If you're unsure of yourself and you're living in trauma and you're carrying that over to the workplace and it's hindering you from networking with people that can help you level up, you need to step your game up and deal with those adverse emotions. In the 11th house is the house of socialization, the payment that we get from being the person who we are in the world. These are the things that are governed by the 11th house. And if you have Cancer there, it means You know, you're gonna be able to nurture in social circles of people who aren't, you know, fundamentally important to you, such as, when I say they're not fundamentally important, it doesn't mean that they're not nothing to you. It means they're not your wife, they're not your best friends and things like that. They're just people who you socialize and kick it with, and you can provide them emotional support. If you have insight and information that can help people that you just meet in passing, this will get you big payouts, man. Because when you're networking and socializing, people talk about the benefits of talking to you, even if it is just getting emotional support. Everybody digging what I'm saying? When you got the Cancer on the 12th house, the 12th house is the house of secrets. It's the house that governs how we retreat to the world, from the world, to take charge. It's also the house of secret enemies. Now, if your Cancer is on the 12th house, your emotional outbursts can create a lot of secret enemies for you. It can cause resentments from people who you failed to nurture. But the most important thing about Cancer on your 12th house is, when you retreat from the world to recharge, you're eating the right way. You're eating the right way. I'm gonna jump a little bit in the diet, because if you got Cancer moon in your natal chart, it's important that you have seafood in your diet, unless you have a square or an opposition from Saturn, Mars, Uranus, things like that. These can bring allergic reactions. Next month, when I come off vacation, I'm vacationing at the crib, but I'm just not doing no spiritual work for people right now. When I come off vacation, we're gonna get the memberships cranking, and I'm gonna give y'all a lot of information on, you know, reading your chart and using your chart to the fullest extent. Candle magic, planetary magic, and we gonna do spells together and stuff, and make magical oils and different things like that, to really help the people who are serious about developing they spiritual power and moving on a spiritual path get popping. But again, you know, the full moon in Cancer, once you take responsibility with that solstice energy, once you become aware of your responsibility, you have to also shed light on your capacity to nurture. You have to shed light on your capacity to nurture. I'm about to skip this ad. They want to run an ad. I'm finna skip the ads. But you have to add to your capacity to nurture. You have to consciously accept that part of your responsibility, especially you cats who talk about you kings. A king has an obligation to their kingdom. A kingdom has subjects, and you can't rule them with an iron fist or with a cold heart. The power of a king is in a compassion for his subjects, doing what's best for them. This is something you got to understand. And this is the things that you should be looking for in these people who have been designated our leaders. Is it more important for them to be seen than it is for them to be active on the scene? You got to understand, everybody that come with a crown ain't really a king. Everybody that come with a crown ain't really a queen. Even if they got all the fixings and trimmings and the appearance of it. Those two things, the energy that's manifested from the solstice that bring about a strong leader who's willing to do what it takes for the people, and the energy that comes from the full moon in Cancer. This is opposite energy. When you got opposite energy, it brings balance and equilibrium. Mayat, the energy of truth. You can't be a good leader without the capacity to nurture your people, to provide them comfort. A real leader has that balance of the divine masculine and divine feminine energy. You understand what it's like to be destroyed, to break down, to die and have to be brought back to life by someone else. Have your life force energy revitalized. This is what gives you those qualities of a royal leader. And you have to nurture them. You don't just get a participation trophy because you've been through some damn trauma, man. You dig what I'm saying? A lot of people just want a participation trophy, and it don't work like that. You know, nobody comes here for their self. We choose our parents before we get here, and we have soul contracts with other people before we get here to create the most meaningful, I didn't say the most pleasant, the most meaningful human experience that can trigger the capacity to have more compassion for your fellow human beings, or trigger, adverse things. You had a responsibility to discern, especially if you're past your first Saturn return to 29 years old. You have been through enough in this human existence to know right from wrong. A lot of people talking to God talk, and goddess talk, and king and queen talk, and you're steady creating suffering for other people. You're doing things that don't reflect on divinity. King and queen are more than just a title. They come with responsibility. And I say it all the time. My people suffer from that shit terribly. You want the title of boss, but don't want the responsibility that come with being a boss. Part of that responsibility is the ability to nurture other people, to have compassion for them, and in some instances, unconditional love. This is your responsibility. And everybody has that individual responsibility. So when you're looking in your chart for your moon placement, the house where your moon falls in your chart is where you need to work on your cultivation of the divine feminine energy, your capacity to nurture, and provide other people with the sustenance they need. Because again, Cancer rules food, it rules the kitchen. The sign of Cancer rules food, it rules the kitchen, it rules the mother, it rules the emotions, and symbolically, when they buried the pharaohs and high officials and priests and stuff like that in Kemet, they put food and stuff in there with them. They knew they couldn't eat the food, but it was a symbolism. And I told you in the beginning of the video, symbols are living things. So them putting food in there represents them putting the energy for them to be nurtured even in the afterlife. Not just saying here's the food, the energy. They're saying we care about you even though you're no longer physically here. This is why it's important to feed your ancestors. The fourth house where Cancer is naturally placed because it's the fourth zodiac sign. The fourth house also rules the grave. The eighth house rules death. The fourth house rules the grave. It's at the bottom of the chart. It's where it all ends at. So when you are looking to put an end to behavior, you want to look to your fourth house cusp, the house, the sign on your fourth house cusp, and whatever house that ruler's in. Me myself, I got the moon in Aries in my third house, and most of y'all on here know me. You know I got a pretty filthy mouth. You see, I've been restrained in my words. I'm making sure that I'm being assertive with providing you information, which governed by the third house. Third house rules information. It rules communication. I usually communicate in an Aries nature, fiery, right? Right now, I'm being assertive and I'm still nurturing you with information. So it's important to know the sign and the house that your moon is placed in so you can take advantage of that energy and tap in. I'm gonna look at some of y'all comments and see what's going on, and then I'm gonna go eat dinner because I had to do a lot of moving around and working today. Even when I'm on vacation, I'm not on vacation. That vacation just means I'm not doing magic for anybody else. Good evening, Gwendolyn. COVID Tech, K&K Conversation, shot by Dale. Ava Joy, Sierra Astrology. Quentin. Victoria McLemore. Nadira, I hope I said your name right. Britt Bratt. Nicole Sweets. Zakeba. Thank you guys for showing up. Yeah, the moon, again, is the fastest moving planet. It goes through your whole chart. So the house where Cancer is at will always be affected throughout the month to give you important lessons. And your moon is a very, very important placement in your chart because the emotions are ever changing like the moon. I'll say this again. And emotions are energy. Energy affects your aura. It affects the aura of other people. So where you find Cancer at in your chart, that's the house where you're gonna need to learn to nurture the most. You're gonna need to learn to nurture the most. What's going on, Monte? That Cancer placement is where you're gonna need to learn to nurture. The house where your moon is at is gonna tell you the outlet of that energy. The sign that the moon is in your chart is going to give you the insights you need. The sign is like an adjective. It describes what nature your moon is going to be. And the moon represents your inner nature, your subconscious nature, how you move on autopilot. Your sun is a reflection of your conscious mind. So you got to tap into that moon energy because it's not moving from a place of logic and trained stuff from your brain. Is your nature, your inner nature. And in order to reap the most benefits out of this human experience, you have to be in tune with your inner nature, because you're bombarded by things all day, every day, that are meant to affect and alter your inner nature. You have to decide that you're going to learn about yourself, learn about your nurturing capacity, and move from that place. They say that it may outweigh the heart against the feather of truth. Where do your emotions reside? In your heart chakra, in your soul. Your soul is in your heart. That's why they weigh your heart against the feather. Understand? So it's important that you understand the planet, the moon, which governs your emotions. You heard of people having heart attacks and dying of broken hearts? High blood pressure stressing people out? That's come from overwhelmed emotions, not channeling that emotional energy. And the most powerful magic, if you've been here a while, you've heard me tell you that if you want your spells to be powerful, you have to associate your current emotion while you're casting the spell with the emotions that you would have once you have the thing that you're doing the spell for. Because those emotions put energetic connections to the future, and you're never going to pull the future to you because it's in the universe. The universe is always manifesting billions and billions of potential outcomes for you. And just something as simple as taking a left down the street, instead of going straight home, you hit a side street or something. These things can change your whole trajectory of life, and you don't even know it because you do it so often. So you have to be aware and pay more careful attention so you can get the most out of your existence. Those emotions that you send into the future for the result that you want, how you feel when you pass your test with all A's, or you get your girlfriend back, or how you're going to feel when you hit the number, you have to be able to summon that emotion. That's going to connect it pew, 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 to the future. And you're shooting all these things at the future, trying to pull it to you. Once you get so many energetic connections to that future via emotion, the future is going to snatch you to it. It's going to snatch you up so fast that you don't have the opportunity to do anything else. You understand what I'm saying? Again, it's almost 11 o'clock. I hope you guys enjoyed this live. I will definitely put up the replay. And we got more videos coming. We got Mercury going direct on the 2nd. Tomorrow, Jupiter goes direct in Taurus. It's going to bring some interesting things for the United States, to say the least. Taurus is the United States 5th and 6th house. That's the 5th house has to do with the stock market, investment, things like that. How the nation markets itself to the world. The 6th house has to do with the military, police, firefighters, public servants, the health of the nation, the health. I don't want y'all out here falling susceptible to people talk about it's a hoax and a conspiracy, because Jupiter rules the United States 1st house. So whatever aspects Jupiter's going to make, and it's going to make a few of them, it's going to affect the nation itself. Y'all stay tuned. I'll see y'all tomorrow. And I can't guarantee it'll be live for them videos, but I'm gonna get some stuff on here to give you the game you need to proceed in the right way. You dig what I'm talking about? I love y'all. Make sure y'all share the video, like the video, all the stuff that helped the channel grow. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining in tonight.